Binding a new pope is a deeply traditional and sacred process in the Roman Catholic Church, known as the papal conclave. The word conclave comes from the Latin cum clave, meaning with a key, signifying that the cardinals are locked away until a decision is made. This method of selecting a pope has been used for centuries, and it is steeped in ceremony, symbolism, and secrecy. The process ensures that the leader of the Catholic Church is chosen with prayerful consideration, guided by the Holy Spirit, according to Catholic belief. The origins of the papal election process date back to the early centuries of Christianity. Initially, popes were elected by the clergy and the laity of Rome, often with significant influence from local Roman noble families, and later, the Byzantine emperors. However, by the 11th century, reforms were introduced to limit secular interference. In 1059, Pope Nicholas II decreed that only the cardinal bishops would have the authority to elect the pope, a move that would evolve over time to include all cardinals. These changes laid the foundation for the modern conclave. The most significant changes to the papal election process were instituted during the 13th century. The longest papal election in history occurred between 1268 and 1271, lasting nearly 3 years after the death of Pope Clement IV. Frustrated by the delay, the local magistrates of Viterbo locked the cardinals in a room and even resorted to removing the roof and reducing their food to bread and water to hasten the decision. This led to Pope Gregory X establishing the formal rules for the conclave in 1274 at the Second Council of Lyons, requiring the cardinals to be sequestered until they reached a decision. These rules have been modified, but remain the basis for today's process. Today, the papal conclave begins shortly after the death or resignation of a pope. The most recent resignation was that of Pope Benedict XVI in 2013, the first to step down voluntarily in over 600 years. Following the end of a pontificate, the College of Cardinals gathers in Vatican City for the conclave. Only cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to vote, which usually includes about 120 men from around the world, representing the global nature of the Church. Before the voting begins, the cardinals celebrate a special Mass called the Pro Elegendo Papa Mass for the election of the Pope. Afterward, they process into the Sistine Chapel, where Michelangelo's famous frescoes provide a dramatic and spiritual setting. There, they take an oath of secrecy and are locked in until they have elected a new pope. The voting process is done with utmost confidentiality and involves up to 4 ballots each day. To be elected, a candidate must receive a 2/3 majority vote. The ballots are burned after each voting session. Chemicals are added to the paper to produce either black or white smoke, signaling the outcome to the world. Black smoke means that no candidate has yet reached the required majority, while white smoke announces that a new pope has been chosen. When white smoke rises from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, the bells of St. Peter's Basilica ring joyfully, and crowds gather in St. Peter's Square in anticipation. Once a cardinal receives the necessary votes and accepts the position, he is asked what name he will take as pope. This tradition began in the 6th century, symbolizing a new mission and spiritual rebirth. The new pope is then dressed in papal robes and led to the Room of Tears, a small chamber where he may pray or reflect. Afterward, he appears on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, and the senior cardinal announces, "Habemus Papam," We have a pope. The new pope then gives his first blessing, known as the Urbi et Orbi, to the city and the world. Throughout history, papal elections have reflected the challenges and politics of their times. During the Renaissance, powerful families like the Medicis and European monarchies often sought to influence the choice of pope. In modern times, the process has become more focused on spiritual and pastoral concerns, with cardinals choosing a pope based on his theological understanding, leadership qualities, and ability to guide the Church in a complex world. The election of Pope Francis in 2013 marked several historic firsts. He was the first Jesuit pope, the first from the Americas, and the first non-European pope in over 1,200 years. His election reflected the Church's growing presence in the global South and a desire for reform and renewal. As the Church looks to the future, the conclave remains a vital institution for ensuring continuity and unity in the Catholic faith. The next conclave will once again draw global attention as cardinals discern who will lead over 1 billion Catholics worldwide. It is a process that blends ancient ritual with contemporary relevance, embodying the enduring legacy of the Church while also responding to the modern world's spiritual and moral needs. Whether the next pope is a conservative or a reformer, European or from another continent, the conclave will seek a shepherd who can guide the faithful with wisdom, compassion, and strength.